Has India's startup ecosystem come of age?
Are there spaces where you see that a team from India build foundational models?
Indian social media has just one question. If China can, why not India?
India's tech startups have raised $2.5 billion in the first quarter of this calendar year.
And according to Traction, 40% of them say that they're building foundational models that on paper compete with OpenAI. But here's the uncomfortable truth.
Has India's startup ecosystem come of age?
Training GPT-4 alone cost more than what it took the Indian entire ecosystem to raise with AI.
Why can't we build a Facebook or Google or ChatGPT?
So the real question isn't,
Are there spaces where you see that a team from India build foundational models?
it should really be, should we even try? And the surprising answer is,
it's totally hopeless to compete with us on training foundation models. You shouldn't try, and it's your job to try anyway.
because the real opportunity for India might be even bigger than chasing frontier models. Hi there and welcome to Americanomics. I'm your host Akash Bhatt and I'm extremely thrilled to share that we are now part of the 01 network by Zerodha. Okay, let's lay out the numbers clearly. Semi-analysis estimates that GPT-4 needed somewhere around 25,000 NVIDIA A100 GPUs costing between $300 to $500 million just for one training session. Meanwhile, Meta AI chief Jan LeCun confirmed they spent over $2 billion building infrastructure in 2023. Now compare that to India. The Ministry of Electronics and IT reports that India has access to around 3,000 to 4,000 AI-grade GPUs across cloud providers and research labs. That's less than what Meta used for a single experiment. Well, NVIDIA's distribution data center suggests that over 300,000 GPUs have been deployed. And in China, very similar numbers. And then it just keeps on getting deeper. Epoch AI research shows compute requirements for frontier models are doubling every 6 months. This isn't really a startup race anymore. It's actually becoming a geopolitical race. Now, even if you had the GPUs, you'd still be fighting a losing battle against models that are already open source. Meta released Llama 3.1 for free. Mistral is innovating in Europe. Hugging Face now hosts $500,000 open models. Semi-analysis puts it perfectly. There are only about 5 to 7 companies globally that can sustain the capital requirements required to train frontier models. So yes, the foundational model dream is romantic, but is it really realistic? It's really a dead end for new entrants in my opinion, but here's the part that most people end up overlooking, that it really costs a lot of money to compete with foundational models that have already been built. Mark Andreessen once wrote that the companies that win aren't always the ones that are building infrastructure. They're the ones building on top of it. AI is repeating the same pattern. Foundational model companies have raised over $90 billion according to Sequoia. Application layer companies, on the other hand, have raised around $15 billion. But here's the twist. The application layer companies are the ones that are actually already making money. Menlo Ventures found AI app companies see adoption 3 to 5x faster than traditional SaaS. Now, why is that the case? Well, that's because the expensive part, the brain, already exists. You just need to build a product around it, and the AI compute prices eventually will go down. And Jason Horowitz AI Indexed says inference costs have fallen anywhere between 75 to 80% year after year. What cost $1 in 2021 now costs 10 cents. And this opens up a massive arbitrage opportunity. Gartner says US companies spend around $30,000 to $70,000 per month for AI customer support. And NASCOM data, on the other hand, shows Indian companies deliver equivalent solutions for about $10,000 to $20,000 a month, while still keeping solid margins. So this isn't technically cheap outsourcing, it's actually operational excellence meeting AI leverage. And quietly, India is winning in this particular race on this layer. Okay, now let's talk about the interesting bit. India's $250 billion IT services industry was built on just one idea. You take a powerful technology and you make it usable, reliable, and affordable. Now, if you add AI to that equation, things start to change. MIT CSAIL research shows that traditional software scales linearly with effort. AI-enabled systems don't. The model does the heavy lifting. In fact, Nature published a recent study which shows that AI applications spend only about 10 to 15% of cost on custom dev work. So India's advantage here shifts from labor arbitrage to something that's meaningful and more strategic. It's the execution arbitrage. Harvard Business Review's work on frugal innovation found that Indian AI teams design systems that need 30 to 50% less computing power while achieving similar performance. Now, that is not just cheaper. That is actually incredibly smart and clever. A Gartner case study shows Indian cybersecurity startup using ChatGPT-4 APIs for triaging, cutting alert investigation times by 87% at 1/5 the cost of Darktrace, who spent over $100 million building their own detection models. Now, this is what I call frugal innovation, which is blending with AI. It's smarter, lighter, and more profitable. So this is the mind shift that India needs to make. Inc. 42 reports Indian AI startups have an average runway of 23 months, despite raising far less than US-based startups. Bain Venture Capital says they hit profitability 32% faster. But there's a problem. Traction says 42% of all Indian AI startups still claim that they're building foundational models. That's like trying to open a neighborhood cafe and deciding to compete with Starbucks at the global supply chain level. Bill Gurley said something that's really interesting, and I want to point that out here. It's that companies that win in the AI race won't be those with the biggest models. They'll actually be those with the best business models. So India doesn't really have to build its own GPT. India needs to build the AI version of Salesforce, ServiceNow, Zoho, Postman, and companies like those. These are the kind of companies that solve the real business problems deeply and, most importantly, profitably. So coming to another interesting study, BCG predicts that the global AI app market will hit $500 billion by 2030. Now, the foundational models market, on the other hand, around $50 billion. That's a 10x difference. And Gartner says that 70% of AI value by 2027 will be captured at the application level, not the infrastructure layer. So what are Indian companies really doing? Well, according to NASSCOM, they're already serving clients in 67 countries, and PwC found that Indian AI companies win 38% of global competitive bids. Now, that is up from 12% just a couple of years ago. And here's something that barely anybody talks about. CB Insights ended up tracking 12 acquisitions in the last 18 months where profitable Asian companies acquired cash-burning Western AI startups. Not because Western AI teams were failing on technology, but because they actually failed on the business side of things. So what India really has the opportunity to do here is really build the template that Freshworks, Zoho, or Postman had previously done, which is building a profitable global product-led, cost-efficient business right out of India. And AI makes that model even more powerful if you put that into the context. So in my opinion, India should not be worried about building the next OpenAI. And it's not because we can't. It's because it's not the smartest game for us to play. The foundational model race belongs to the few nations and companies with limitless capital. But on the application layer side of things, this is where the value is going to be created, at least 70% of it. And nobody has really captured it completely. We've got the domain expertise, the cost efficiency, the innovation, the talent, and possibly even the execution skill sets. So the real question isn't can India build GPT-5 or future models? It should actually be, can we build the AI companies that actually make the money? Everything I showed you today says yes. So if you're working on AI, tell me in the comment section what kind of models are you using and what kind of problems are you really solving? Because once we start thinking away from the foundational model side and start looking at the application side, we tend to realize that real opportunity is truly at the application layer. If you like this video and the other ones that we've been bringing you, go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel. We're going to bring you more such videos and analyze what we should be doing from an India context while learning from the West. I'll see you in the next video.